All of history is happening at once.
Oh.
What does that mean?
Wow.
A woman.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh.
Can I speak to the captain, please? Now, this unit can disguise itself as anyone in the universe, so if you're posing as Vandeleur, you're investigating the silence.
Whoa.
Tell me about them.
Tell you what?
One thing, just one. Their weakest link.
I think I'm starting to...
Where the headless monks keep the leftovers. Watch your step, there are traps everywhere.
Bit of Indiana Jones. Oh. I didn't realize that was his name.
Give it to me straight, Doctor. How bad are my injuries?
Well,
Oh, he's playing around.
On the fields of Trenzalore, at the fall of the 11th, when no living creature can speak forcibly or fail to answer, a question will be asked.
Unknown.
silence will fall when the question is asked.
Silence must fall would be a better translation. The silence are determined that the question will never be answered, that the Doctor will never reach Trenzalore. You're dangerous company, Soothsayer.
Oh. Oh.
Yes, it's time. It's time.
He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. They've already kind of alluded.
You could deliver the messages yourself.
It would involve crossing my own time stream.
I was gonna say, it's kind of alluding to a solution that's right here.
Is there nothing else we can do?
However dark it got, I'd turn around, and there they'd be. If it's time to go, remember what you're leaving. Remember the best. My friends have always been the best of me.
Oh, two more.
We don't have much time.
And this woman you spoke of, did you invite her?
Hello, sweetie.
Yes, she was there.
Oh, she was there already.
Twice.
Now I get to see the other side of that helmet.
That's an astronaut.
Her perspective. Okay. Okay. There.
Well then.
Hello, sweetie.
What have you done?
Well, I think I just drained my weapon systems.
River. Nope.
Keep the silence in sight at all times.
Pond. Amelia Pond.
No! She's on our side. It's okay, Winston.
Is she? Wow. That's a great look.
No, Amy.
Yeah.
Amy. Amelia Pond from Ledworth, please, listen to me. I know it seems impossible, but you know me. You can remember things that never happened, and if you try, if you really, really try, you'll be able to.
You look rubbish.
You look wonderful.
Yeah, she does.
But don't worry. I'll soon fix that.
Geronimo. Okay, you can turn around now. How do I look?
Hey.
Really? No. And you've got an office on a train. That is so cool. Can I
It is
have
cool.
Never had an office before, or a train/office.
I missed you.
Okay, hugging and missing now.
That's him, isn't it? I've no idea. I can't find him, but I love him very much, don't I?
Apparently.
Mom, we're about to arrive. Our drives need to be activated as soon as we disembark.
Good point. Thank you, Captain Williams. Couldn't live without him.
No.
What is wrong?
The silence have human servants. They all wear these.
They'd have to.
This way.
Right, that makes sense. They kind of alluded to this in the last episode. The Doctor and Eye Patch.
Yeah, they will.
Wow.
You two upstairs, check all the tax seals, then the floors above.
Everyone looks so good. So cool.
Attention,
There she is.
You were right. Just his presence in the building caused the loop to extend by nearly 4.
She's gonna have an eye patch as well.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
And what sort of time do you call this?
Ah.
Death of time.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
How many silents have you got trapped inside it?
None. They're not trapped. They never have been.
Oh wow.
They've been waiting
For this moment.
for this, Doctor. For you. And you're wearing eye drives based on mine, I think.
What do you mean?
Oh. Oh no.
Help her! Help her!
They're all gonna have to pull him off.
Captain Williams, how long do we have?
A couple of minutes.
That's enough.
He still
We're
has
going
it
to the
on.
sector room right at the top of the pyramid. I hope you're ready for a climb.
Thank you, Captain Williams.
Are you remembering? Yeah, I was just gonna say.
You took my baby from me and hurt her. And now she's all grown up and she's fine. I'll never see my baby again. But you'll still save me. Doctor is very precious to me, you're right. But do you know what else he is? Not here.
Oh. Oh.
River Song didn't get it all from you, sweetie.
You've touched so many lives, saved so many people. Did you think when your time came, you'd really have to do more than just ask? You've decided that the universe is better off without you, but the universe doesn't agree.
I have to die.
Shut up! I can't let you die without knowing you are loved.
Melody Pond, your daughter. I hope you're both proud.
They are.
I'm not sure I completely understand.
We got married and had a kid, and that's her.
Okay.
Okay.
River, take one end of this. Wrap it around your hand and hold it
Ah.
What am I doing?
as you're told. Now,
Yeah.
we're in a combat zone, so we'll have to do the quick version. Captain Williams, say I consent and gladly give.
To what?
Just say it.
They're getting married.
Mother of the bride.
I consent and gladly give.
Now, River, I'm about to whisper something in your ear, and you have to remember it very, very carefully and tell no one what I said.
His name.
I just told you my name. There isn't another way.
You have to kiss the bride though.
Kiss the bride.
I'll make it a good one.
You better.
Look at them in the background. They make contact.
Thank you, dear.
Ooh, she's got the outfit on.
Where are we?
I just climbed out of the Byzantium.
Yeah.
You were there.
He's dead, so I can't.
Of course he isn't.
Not for you, I suppose. You're seeing the younger versions of him running around having adventures.
Yeah, I am.
He whispered his name.
Not his name, no.
Yeah, it was. He said it was.
We're all one.
Ah, the doctor
Two
lies.
lies.
So do I. All the time. Have to. Spoilers.
Right.
Pretending I
Covered.
don't know you're my mother. Pretending I didn't recognize a spacesuit in Florida.
What did he whisper in your ear?
Oh.
Properly sure.
Of course I'm sure. I'm his wife.
Yes, and I was mother-in-law.
But how did you do it? How could you have possibly escaped?
Is there nothing else we can do?
Oh. Yes. Yes. They set this up earlier.
Actually, thinking about it, look into my eye.
Oh, he's the. Yep. Yep, there it is.
Time to step back into the shadows.
And Dr.
Ooh.
Song, in prison all her days?
Her days, yes, her nights. Well, that's between her and me, eh?
So many secrets, Doctor. The fields of Trenzalore, the fall of the 11th, and the question.
Goodbye, Dorian.
The first question, The question you've been running from all your life.
Wow.
Doctor Who. Doctor Who. Doctor Who.
Oh. Okay. Okay, that is the conclusion to Series 6. First thoughts immediately after. It's not quite as, I don't know, satisfying as the Series 5 finale. And that indeed was a two-part finale, as are all of them, essentially, other than this one, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the first one that's just a straight up one-part finale. And yes, you see that it suffers. It suffers because of it. There's a lot. There is so much packed into this. I hate to say, but yes, it is a bit messy. This episode certainly could have used a two-part finale, I think. To me, it was essentially a foregone conclusion that, okay, episodes 12 and 13 are going to be these massive two-part episodes, right? Or a massive two-part story. Kind of circling all the way back to, those phenomenal season openers. And, essentially, yeah, at the end of the day, it does feel like it peaked. It peaked right in the beginning, right? How do you, those two episodes are just insane, actually. To begin an entire new series on the back of those two episodes, it was always going to be a tough ask to kind of, match that excitement. But of course, that doesn't mean this series didn't have its own standalone episodes, some phenomenal standalone episodes in this one. But yeah, I certainly think this could have benefited from a two-part finale, right? Because it does feel a bit rushed. That being said, it certainly has its share of great moments. Certainly has some great moments, for sure. But before I get into all those things, just as a whole, right? Even some of the things that are kind of the major focus of this episode, or a good, portion or chunk of this episode, it really kind of felt inconsequential, right? It didn't really mean much, a lot of it. But let's shift the focus. Let's focus on the ending. There it is, right? The oldest question in the universe, hidden in plain sight. Indeed, it was hidden in plain sight. I suppose I was kind of close. I believe I mentioned, or my guess on it was, who is the Doctor? But, it's literally Doctor Who, right? But this happens to be the question that must not be asked, right? And the silence believes that it's not going to be asked because the Doctor is not going to make it to Trenzalore. This Trenzalore place seems to be something quite important. The fall of the 11th is also mentioned in the same sentence, right? It's all part of the same prophecy. The way he was kind of reciting it, and I'm speaking of the headless blue head. I really do like that character. I do. But yeah, it's starting to feel like that, the resolution to this whole silence arc is integral and is kind of going to tie in with the fall of the 11th, right? So I essentially do have a bit of a roadmap in terms of how things might play out, or at least in terms of the plot points in Series 7 as well. It's going to continue into Series 7, this whole silence arc, right up until the fall of the 11th, right? As of this point, I do know that the 7th series is the last of Matt Smith. And of course, one of the questions is, why does silence fall if the question is asked, right? And as seen right at the conclusion, Doctor Who. Now, listen, it totally could be a red herring as well in terms of the actual question. Because personally, I don't think that I'm just about to get a name reveal. At least not anytime soon, maybe. There's still quite a bit of Doctor Who ahead of me. I've got Capaldi. I've got yet another entire series of Matt Smith. And speaking of the silence, you've got Madame K. There's not much there, is there? In terms of depth. there's just not much there to that character. You know, as of this point, I still don't really entirely understand just why she hates the Doctor so much. That she goes through all of these, crazy, plans to take him out. You go back to Amy being kidnapped, being replaced by a ganger, and all of that, right? Though, I do like how she was able to kind of trick the Doctor twice, but this time she was the one who was tricked. Though the Doctor takes a different approach. Not that I think he would have taken the ganger and let the ganger, die on his behalf, or step in. Though I don't even think that's logical. I don't think that actually checks out, even if it was a ganger, right? Because the Doctor still technically had to be there, and he might have been a really mini Doctor, but he was there. Right? He was there, and then of course the TARDIS is in there, so he gets himself and the rest of the crew out of there, I suppose, because they do burn they burn the body. So yeah, it's the Tezzerrecta. An immediate thought I had is the fact that the Doctor initiates the regeneration. So that's a Tezzerrecta that was actually, no, it can't, I'm pretty sure the Tezzerrecta can't replicate a regeneration, right? Though perhaps it can mimic it, right? Maybe you put on some sort of show, right? Maybe it was able to replicate the actual, look of it, right? To sell it, I suppose. But yeah, no, I don't think there's any possibility that it was actually able to initiate the regeneration. Yeah, so I guess that's, it's not the biggest thing to be hung up on. There's an explanation for it, right? Yeah, it was, I think essentially it was kind of mimicking the physical regeneration or the look of it. Essentially, the whole point here is to sell it, right? At the end of the day, it's a fixed point, right? It was always going to happen, because if it does not happen, none of those things that have happened as River is in prison, and then those adventures she's had all that time ago, they don't happen then, right? But the fact that they do happen, all of those things have happened, it means that this was always going to happen, right? So this aspect of it, it was never going to change, right? And it's not as if time was tricked. Everyone else was tricked, right? I do kind of like that aspect of it. I do. But, even going into this, even back in the first 2 episodes, as you'll remember, I maintained that, okay, I know the Doctor's not going to die. Everyone knew that. Of course, the Doctor's not going to die. There is going to be something that happens here that allows him to stay alive, right? Of course, the exciting bit was finding out how exactly he pulls it off, and this is how. And the thing is, essentially, it's kind of right there in the first 5 minutes of this episode even, right? As you'll recall, not that it takes a genius to figure it out or anything. You see the Doctor spelling it out even for the audience, right? It's kind of being spoon-fed in that sense. You cannot miss it. You simply cannot miss it. He's kind of going through like a definition, a description of the capabilities of this Tezzerrecta, right? As he's kind of looking into the eyes and he's explaining, oh, it's capable of doing this and this. And at that point, I was pretty confident. Oh, okay, this is how he does it, right? This is how he does it. The big switch. It's not a switch. He's there. He's present. He's inside this robot, essentially, right? That totally does the job. It does the trick. It sells it, right? As far as everyone else knows, the Doctor died. That at that fixed point in time, or the Doctor's death, is a fixed point in time, and it happened. Again, only a few know that indeed the Doctor didn't die, but it certainly looked like he died. So it looks like him being shot at is the fixed point, right? So yeah, and kind of before I kind of move on, speaking of the ganger, earlier, around the time the gangers are introduced, or that concept is introduced, and it certainly plays a major part, right? Given how Amy was replaced by a ganger and kidnapped. Yeah, there was maybe that was a misdirect, right? Maybe that was a misdirect. It's certainly there for a reason. They want people to think, okay, maybe it is this Ganger, though nothing came of it. I honestly thought I might see Ganger Doctor again, given how that episode ended. It was just like a quick fade to black as they dissolve, right? So I don't know. I suppose that was the end of that. But yeah, the Doctor's not going to use the Ganger in that situation anyways, even if it was going to be possible for him to actually use a Ganger to trick the Silence into thinking that indeed he died there. But in terms of the still point, that then becomes a fixed point, Lake Silencio, Utah. So essentially that was River Song putting on an act, right? Her really being, shocked as the Doctor gets shot mid-regeneration, right? She put on quite the act because if I have this right, she knew, right? Though, I felt that she realized anyways, even if she didn't know, she realized anyways, right? As she unloads the entire gun. And then I believe she said, of course not. So correct me if I'm wrong. That was River Song just putting on an act, right? So it looks like it's a surprise for her as well. She put on quite the act. But hold on, actually, didn't the Doctor say to River, the one that's in the suit, the suit she cannot control, yet she was able to kind of drain the power? Yeah, a bit of a head scratcher there. Then the fact that if you cannot control the suit anyways, and it's doing its own thing, is there even a need to put River Song in there? Yeah. So, but the Doctor told her, look over there, right? On the shore, the other river, right? And he tells her that's you from the future. And then he also tells the river in the suit that you're not even going to remember this. So maybe I have this a bit jumbled up. You'll probably have to, get into the comments and clarify that for me. From one end, it appears that indeed she knew all along and she's kind of putting on an act. And she knew anyways after unloading the gun, I think. But on another end, you have the Doctor telling her that she's not going to remember. But then later at the end there, and I think it's a fantastic scene, and it's a great moment as it's kind of confirming. It is confirming actually that Amy and her daughter and River and her mother do have a relationship. They do have this fun check-in, and it appears that they do it all the time, right? So it does feel like they are a family, right? Yes, it's not the most normal family. It's an interesting one, that's for sure. And let's not leave out Rory, her father, right? So I like that. It gave me a great feeling to know that indeed they have some semblance of a family structure, right? That, she drops in and, they're comparing notes, right? River and Amy both, they're comparing notes. So I love that. So yeah, that element of family, yeah, of course, she's always going to have that deep hole of not having her baby. Not having the chance to raise her baby, and that applies to Rory as well. And she kind of takes it out on Madame K, even though she did it in a bubble universe. I think she's right. I think Amy is right. She remembers it, and she remembers doing it. She killed her, right? So, yeah, and Amy certainly gets a lot of standout moments in this episode. River doesn't get it all from you, sweetie. Yeah, and then I've got to say, the look in this bubble universe, yeah, all of them look so good. Again, Amy specifically looked really fantastic, really in that suit, in the eye patch, and of course now I know the reasoning behind that eye patch. It's not just a fashionable uniform or anything. It's actually quite logical, but it looks hella cool nonetheless, doesn't it? Even the Doctor looks super cool, and for those who know, he really resembled Big Boss, didn't he, from Metal Gear Solid? But the fact that the bubble universe doesn't exist anymore, right, as all of time is happening at the same time, that means, of course, Madame K is still out there, right? The Silence is still out there. So it's going to continue into the next series, into Series 7, right? Now, is that the actual final goodbye to Amy and Rory, right? If it is, I think I kind of like it. They kind of show us, indeed, they do have a family. They do have some semblance of a family. Hell, even the Doctor has a family. He does. Now it's kind of official even, right? As, Amy also realizes, oh my goodness, I'm his mother-in-law, right? So officially, even though, that happened in the bubble universe, that in itself, them getting married, I mean, it's a beautiful moment, but it's also a bit of a head scratcher as well in terms of how it's going to kind of play into the rest of the series, how much of an impact it's going to have from this point on. Part of me felt like it was kind of to appease River's song. I don't know. I like the moment, the actual moment that they share of actually getting married. And of course, the mother and father and their closest friends as well. They're right there. I love some of the photography there, having them in the background, kind of, focus pulling back and forth as they get married, as their daughter gets married to their best friend. To me, it doesn't really feel, as of this point at least, that there is about to be some sort of substantial shift now that they're married, right? In the bubble universe. But, regardless, it happened. It happened and they remembered, right? And as seen later, River, I'm his wife. But the conclusion there in the crypt, I've got to say, I really like that. I like that approach that they're about to take, from the sounds of it at least, that he is about to take a step back, right? That he's about to go underground, right? Yeah, I think, I'm all for that approach. Someone like the Doctor, who travels in time and is such a larger than life figure, how much could he really, kind of take a step back and be underground? But, I'm certainly there for the attempt. So, of course, that is going to play a part in the structure and the approach of some of these stories in the next series, Series 7, right? And, of course, there is a Christmas special before that. But like I said earlier, it really feels like, for the first time, it really feels like he has a family that he can kind of go back to, that he can drop in on anytime, really. In these last few episodes, he's been crushed under the sense of guilt, right? That he's no good, that, he puts people in danger, that he just kind of has to leave all these people behind. But, a lot of the series is also about family and friends and how much they mean to the Doctor and the Doctor means to them. And, there's a great line of dialogue earlier. I mean, I think it's one of the best moments of the entire show, right? Let alone the Matt Smith era. Remember the best. And my friends have always been the best of me. Wow. A great moment, man. And, I've got to say, I really enjoyed the opening. It had a Western feel to it, didn't it? Right? Kind of like this lone stranger going from place to place, going from town to town, gathering information. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Hello, darling. Love that moment. Kind of like, hello, darling. There's another great moment. There's a lot of fun moments. Like I mentioned, of course, he has a lot of fun moments as well. Amelia Pond. Of course, everyone knows, right? So ultimately, this whole story arc was kind of like a predestination paradox, wasn't it? And, you have River Song, who's kind of doing the time in prison to kind of, play into that whole story. But yeah, I think that's about it, folks. I think that's about it for this one. It's not the greatest. It's not the greatest ending to a series. Like I said, it was a bit messy. Certainly not as good as Series 5 finale, the two-parter. But I remain on board, excited for more Matt Smith and more of River Song. Again, I'm not sure how much more of Rory and Amy I might see, but if they do show up again in Series 7, of course I'll be happy. Maybe this is the series I finally get Jenna Coleman. This could be the one. I mean, it certainly has to be, right? If indeed this is the final, Series 7 being the final of Matt Smith, final run of Matt Smith. So if you enjoyed this, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. I can certainly use some of your thoughts on some of these things that happened in this episode. If you're interested in early access or full length, consider checking out the Patreon page, and the links for that are in the description, in the pinned comment. Also, there's links for social media if you're into that. Right then, that's it for Series 6. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your time. And I do hope to see you again soon for the Christmas special. And then, of course, Series 7. Until then, take it easy.